My name's Neil Burridge. Welcome to my sword corner. Over the last 20 years I've made a lot of these, I've seen a lot of swords in museums and I've learned a lot, and I'd like to share it with you. Welcome back for another video. We're going to look at a Dirk today, just for something interesting, and it's quite a nice piece. The original one was found in Scotland, in the river that flows out of Loch Tay. It's found by a diver and brought to the museum and became part of the collection there. But when I saw it, I was quite amazed. It was so elegant. The whole blade, the workmanship level on it was pretty astounding. So in my way I've tried to kind of encapsulate that, and recently I decided to make another one just to follow through. The thing I find interesting about my work is I'm not, how could I put this? It's kind of a meditation. When I make something, I think about it and then go through the casting, and then it's the fine detail in the sword you're making, or the dagger, that is the interesting part. You're looking to, explore it and seeing how you can retrieve what Bronze Age people did, more than just making a sharp point with a sort of sharp edge all the way down the side. You're looking for the tiny little details that make it even sort of more beautiful and aesthetic. So we're going to look at the Loch Tay Dirk and my reproduction of it. I think it was found about 5 years ago. Quite unusual. Dirks are after this long period where you've gone from tiny little copper blades and then you've gone larger copper blades, then bronze daggers appear in the barrows, and it's quite widespread and it lasts for quite a long time. And then somewhere around 1700 something changes. There's loads of changes in the Bronze Age, whether it's a Santorini explosion or whether it's just a collapse of society, but pottery changes, stone circles fade out of use, and the weaponry changes. And you start to get the arrival of spears, and dirks is where the dagger suddenly becomes slightly longer. And so it is a sword, and you kind of got to think that these are all swords in their time, because it's having the material available to encapsulate the idea of the sword. Before the arrival of tin, copper swords were far and few between, mainly down in the Mediterranean. So you had copper daggers in this country, especially the one in Bushbarrow, but in Sardinia at the same time you had swords that were probably about 18-21 inches long, made of copper. So it's a slow technology, but that's another video. So we're going to look at this dirk and just go through the finer details about it. So I'm going to turn it like this so you can see it. The original dirk finishes up in here. It's beautifully decorated with a chevron pattern, which happens on a few swords. The edges are beautifully forged on it, probably slightly deeper than my edges, and it's got this parallel lines. On the original, it actually had a raised area just on the outside of the lines on both sides of the blade. I'm not that good yet. You could probably do it lost wax, but then you wouldn't get the crispness of the lines. So again, 2 rivets and a hilt plate, and I think the original had a broken corner off the hilt plate, so it might have been damaged due to force. So with this, the clusters are kind of very fast athletic fighting weapon. And if you look at the what's called the combat agate from Greece, it's probably about the same time, and it shows two warriors fighting in the most athletic way with small rapiers, and it gives you an idea possibly of what these were about. It's not absolutely sure, because if somebody's fighting you with a very big stick, you're not going to want to run for your rapier or your dirk. So how do you interpret the blade and the handle section? Do you want something that's very elegant, or do you want something that's very robust? The fact the hilt had broken showed it had been exposed to some force, but something like this wouldn't have been available to everybody. It's probably like Hector and Achilles would have been the aristocracy warriors with their fancy swords. So it might have only belonged to a sort of chosen part of society. So I've used U on this, riveted it through. I've added the bone. I mean, this is purely my conjecture, because there was no handle on the original. So it would have to fit in the hand. So most handles are about 4 fingers across. So it would go like this, and then maybe be held like this with the 4-finger there. Not sure. So, but it's due to the elegance of the blade, I've tried to make it a stylish handle. I have a friend who makes the scabbards, and all in all, we've repeated the decoration on the end of the scabbard and the ties like this, just to make it as an aesthetic piece rather than just more functional, to give it a bit more status. So I thought that was quite an interesting thing to show you. Dirks are comparatively rare. There's not a huge pile of them. They do get bigger, and they gradually lead on later on to longer dirks, and then they're replaced by rapiers, which are basically even longer dirks. So they're all part of the route to a sword. It's very long blade. The fighting style was probably again quite dynamic. These belong to the age of the shield. The bronze shields that we get in Britain, one of them has recently carbon dated the leather binding on the shield handle. There's a bronze handle with a leather binding, and it comes out at the age of rapiers, which I thought was quite interesting, and that would make sense. So using the sword and the shield together, remember you only need a small amount to cause you problems. I just thought it was an interesting comparison. Last thing I'm going to share with you is the extraordinary sound that the swords make, and there must have been part of sword making that was probably kind of crossed over a line in a different way, but they're very acoustic, swords are. I'm just holding it close so you can hear the near the microphone, see if we can get it to sing. So it's quite something unusual that you didn't expect to kind of hear in the world of bronze swords. Thank you. I don't monetize my films. The idea is to share my knowledge with you. So if you want to support me, you can buy me a cup of coffee in the link below, and if you could like, share and hit the subscribe button, that'd be fantastic. Thank you.